it.
So, episode 21, we are
21,
finally legal.
21,
We are
21.
legal. We are legal in the state of New York. Um,
Right.
so again, this is like sex part 2.
Yep.
We are going to pick up where we left off at the end of the other one. Not when I was having my minor breakdown. That we're going to leave that one.
I would prefer to call that a major realization and not a minor breakdown.
It's not a breakdown. It was breakthrough.
Yes.
It wasn't a breakdown. It was breakthrough with your assistance, of course, and your expertise. So, rip from the headlines. And now this one is, well, they're all important, but this one's important. So I don't know if you've heard it. Okay, there's a movie that came out. It's called It Ends With Us. It's based on a book by Colleen Hoover.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever read Colleen Hoover.
Nope.
In my personal / professional opinion,
Okay.
don't. I know a lot of people really like her, but she's one of those authors that her material is disturbing. Okay. Like, have you seen Gone Girl? Remember Gone Girl with like Ben Affleck and like,
Nope.
okay. That was
I
written
know
by
the
somebody.
premise. I know that she's a big faker, spoiler alert, but yeah.
But like just that like uncomfortable, oh my gosh, my volume's like all the way down. Was I super quiet?
No,
Not that I'm ever super quiet, but like,
no, it was fine.
oh, that's so much better for you. Okay, so It Ends With Us is a book by Colleen Hoover, and it was made into a movie, and the theme of the book is domestic abuse.
The theme. Okay.
Yes, that is the
Is it one story or is it?
It is one story. It is a female who's a flower shop owner who meets a male who's like a neurosurgeon. They live in the same building. He starts to pursue her. They start to date. She falls in love with him. He starts to abuse her. Okay. And again, like I said, Colleen Hoover, if you read any of her stuff, she's disturbing. I mean, like I had someone recommend to me a book by her called Verity, right? And I started reading it and I had to stop when I got to the point where the main character, Verity, decides to try to end her pregnancy with a coat hanger because her husband loves the baby more than her.
Yeah, we don't need to read Colleen Hoover. That's a no. Yeah.
So that's when I said,
yeah, didn't we have this conversation where maybe this was at work where it's like, I think it's at work where it's like these guys are like, oh, you were in the army? Have you seen Hamburger Hill? Have you seen Apocalypse Now? They're like yeah,
why
no, I'm
the
not gonna
fuck
watch
would I watch that?
Yeah.
I don't need to watch
we
that.
did because it was that show someone recommended this you to you.
Remember? But that was in our stalking
like,
episode.
I mean,
so Colleen Hoover is to me, she's disturbing. I don't want to read things. And to me, disturbing is not gratuitous. It's disturbing in the sense that people actually can act like this. And I don't want to read that for pleasure.
Yeah.
So this movie came out and Blake Lively plays the female lead. And the article that I pulled from HuffPost, which is from August 16th, is titled The Blake Lively Backlash Was a Long Time Coming. I am not a fan of Blake Lively. Okay. I never have been. I never watched Gossip Girl. Okay. I did watch the movie A Simple Favor with her and Anna Kendrick, where she plays a completely evil person. Okay. Anyone who's that good at being evil on screen might have a little, I don't know, personal experience.
I don't know. Meryl Streep's a sweetie, and she
listen. That's completely different. That's Meryl Streep. Nobody disparages Meryl Streep. But like, so the article is the Blake Lively backlash was a long time coming. Okay. So the backlash is coming from how she is conducting herself on the press junket for this movie.
Oh, okay.
Because clearly there are questions being leveled at her and the co-star about domestic abuse.
Of course, that's what they do. And you should get your P's and Q's in order before you should know what they're coming to you with. Yeah.
So in what is now a viral video clip, a reporter says to her, if someone off the street was to see you like people see celebrities and they approach them and, they don't get guys like, we don't get much time with you. And they were to say to you, oh my gosh, what should I do? I'm in the same situation as your character is in.
Which
What,
happens.
what,
Yeah.
what is your advice?
Yeah.
What should I do? Where should I go? You know what she said? And the guy was like, what would you tell her?
I
And she was like,
legit don't know. I haven't seen any of this.
what? Like they want my phone number or like a location share? She's like, what? Like my address? She has
Oh,
been the backlash to that. Her like
wow.
flippant, unempathetic answer has painted her in not a very good light. And people have said she couldn't have researched just a little bit and said,
Just say, here's a national number.
National Domestic Violence Hotline, or hey, no, she's so in this press junket, she's had these flippant little answers to these questions, or she avoids them altogether. And people are like, she's Blake Lively. She's a fucking platform. Okay. Everybody knows who she is. If they don't know her, they know her husband. They're everywhere. You see them all. She's also friends with Taylor Swift. They're all over the place. She couldn't have taken 10 minutes and done a little bit of research because she must have anticipated these questions
And,
and
not for
used.
nothing, any of them, her team, her publicity team, anything. Are we just stupid? I mean, or maybe they did give her the information and she's just blatantly ignoring it. I don't know.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you can't anticipate that those questions were coming your way when you were just in a movie based on a book that's a bestseller that's
Yeah.
about domestic abuse. And so people went on Twitter, and I'm not on Twitter, but I see roundups of Twitter, and it was in this article, and they're like, wow, she really fumbled that. She had an opportunity to put something out there because she's somebody people listen to.
And you know what? And there is, what I think it's Spider-Man that says, with great power comes great responsibility. And it's just, that's part of your role now. It's what I love about Lady Gaga. It's what I love about people. They're like, okay, I got up here and now I can make a difference.
But those are people who inherently are good and want to use their celebrity to make a difference.
Yeah.
The ones that conduct themselves like Blake Lively did in this situation are people, in my opinion, who don't care about making a difference.
Oh, agreed.
Or helping or using your platform.
Yeah.
And by the way, Blake Lively, when your looks fade and you're no longer the it girl, I hope you look back on this opportunity that you had to potentially educate or help somebody. And I hope you sincerely regret it, because you had a massive opportunity to do something that would have been beneficial to a lot of people.
When you hold an audience like that, you take the opportunity to do the right thing.
As far as I'm concerned, that just shows me who she is. That just shows me who she is.
Yep.
And I hope she hears this. I hope you hear it, Blake Lively. Anyway, so that was my ripped from the headlines.
Okay.
And so I wanted to return back to a point that you made last time when you brought up how people are, when we were talking about sex and we were talking about relationships, or maybe just sex, and how people are waiting or holding off, or some people are identifying as asexual. And we talked about being boy sober, which is a term that was coined by somebody. And it's like 20 somethings, right? That are like just kind of withdrawing, right? And just kind of like taking a moment and getting off the dating apps and sick of swiping. And so there's also a kind of movement, but there's also a general feeling among older people, females mostly, who are like, you know what, I'm just done with this. And I was reading something, it was Jane Fonda, Sharon Stone, Linda Evangelista. They have all come out publicly and said, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm done. And I don't want to sleep next to anybody anymore. I don't want to have another child, right? I don't want to be someone's like, to meet someone and then have to be in charge of everything and make all the decisions. And like Jane Fonda, who's 80 plus, said, I can get more done by myself. To which I say, we hear you, Ms. Fonda. But like, I see what she's saying.
Yeah.
And if she's saying that at 80 plus years of age, and if I'm taking that the correct way, which is the way I'm taking it,
Yeah, of course it
well,
is. That's Jane Fonda. She's not messing around. Yeah.
brava, Jane Fonda, and I will definitely take my lead from you. So there is this weariness, there's this fatigue, and
Yeah.
it's not just among 20 somethings.
Mhm.
It's among, and I'm not going to say it's just women. I'm not saying that. It could be everybody. I'm sure there are men who are like, fuck this. I feel like I've been doing this for years and it's not going anywhere. And it's not
Right.
that people are hopeless. What it is that they're just like, I gotta take a break,
Yeah.
like I just gotta stop. And I want to, I had this thought, but it's like the people who have been out there, okay, and who have given it the old college try, right? It's like being the Statue of Liberty for like shitty dating behavior. It's like, give me your liars and your narcissists, maybe a criminal or two, people in committed relationships yearning to be free. Like that's how it feels. Like you're like, wow, how much more is going to get thrown at me
Right.
that I'm going to be like, huh? Like, but that is how it feels because this cross section of people, and I'm sure there are great people out there, but I'll tell you something. When I'm coming to something and I'm being open and honest and direct, and you're gonna come at me with your self-serving roadshow circus and try to like trample on my peace.
Roadshow circus.
Well, hey, it's got monkeys, it's got
That's
trapeze
there's
artists, it's got fucking everything. But I'm telling you, people are weary of that. People are like, I'm just trying to
well,
put
what? I think
my
something
most
else is
honest
changing.
foot out here.
There for a long time, the male and female, I'm going to stick with the heterosexual roles right now.
Mhm.
Little girls were raised to be wanted, desired, um, make yourself pretty so a husband will find you, that kind of thing, right? And boys were raised to actively want, to conquer, to I'm going to get that, I'm going to hit that, whatever, right? And I think for sure women are coming to a point like, look, my entire identity is not wrapped up in whether someone wants me. And I think that's happening in our young people, and it's certainly happening in our generation. I don't know the generation right before us, Ellen. I don't think so. I think it started with us.
I
Um,
do. I do think it started with us.
yeah, I even look at some of my friends in their 60s and they're still kind of caught in that a little bit. Put on some lipstick, a little bit of that kind of stuff. Um, and I think that's changing. So if we aren't walking around with this sense that we need this external validation by someone else who's going to make us worthy because we're wanted, then I think that changes. That's a game changer.
Well, it's it's sticky because like some women are coming to a realization, right? And it's, and I don't want, if there are any men out there who are listening, we're not declaring war on you. We're just basically saying, and some women are saying, I don't want this. Yes, I want to, like I said, I'm coming to this as a person. I'm coming to this as a fully formed person who has decided through experience what I want and what I don't want. And that is, and I have standards and I'm not going to relax them. And, but especially when you say I have standards, it makes you sound like a, bitch. Yeah, I got standards. Okay. I got expectations. Um, and so should you, by the way. So should everybody.
Yeah.
Whenever you enter into a personal relationship, you should have standards. Your standard should not just be for a heterosexual female. Oh, well, he's male. No.
Yeah.
And I've seen what I don't want, and I know what I want, and maybe I've whittled that down to the point where this person doesn't even exist. I don't even know.
Right.
But like, that this being in a relationship just so you can be with someone, I see it all the time.
And I run into it too, working with men who, are in their early 50s, sometimes older, when they're starting back into the dating world, and they date these women, and these women are still under the impression that if they just get in the dude's pants, then they've won. And the fact is, you know,
Would you
if they
blame
let
stupid dudes, blame stupid prizes?
you know, if she gives it up the first date, she's won. Guess what, guys? You're not dealing with 20, 30-year-old men anymore. You know, that's not what they're looking for. Yeah, it's a bonus, but I can't tell you how many dudes that I work with that are like, I just wanted to wait, and she was pushing it. And I'm explaining, well, her MO, you know, when she was dating was like, she gives that up, then she's got an it. You know, so we got to change our whole mindset with both genders, especially when you're going in, you know, middle age.
Well, I'll tell you what, too, because I'm middle-aged. Actually, middle-aged isn't even really accurate because I'm not going to live till I'm 104. So it's ha, you know, like that one. But I'm
I got
past
my
middle age.
AARP card. That's all I'm saying.
I keep ignoring that. I keep ignoring that. But there are also, and I'll say this from personal experience,
Mhm.
dating at this age, there are men out there who want to jump right back in and they want to be remarried.
Oh yeah.
And they move really fast.
Yeah.
And it's not even a question of like enjoying getting to know each other, is that they move really fast
Do you think
because
it's
they're not,
because they're not used to being alone and they just want that whole
I don't
world
think
again?
they're comfortable being not coupled.
I see.
And it's almost like the women are interchangeable. Like if it doesn't work with this one, I'll just move on to the next one, right? And
Mm,
that to me, that's disingenuous. So
sure.
like that, then it starts to seem like it's a matter of convenience and not feeling.
Oh, see, that gets into that's another layer. So, you know, when you're younger and
You.
you're going through and you're learning about relationships, often the the it can be, you know, change a boyfriend or girlfriend. You're working out the same dynamic. You're like, oh, that wasn't even about you. Sorry, that was about me, you know? And then you're like, oh, I was doing the same thing. I didn't even really see you. I thought I did, but I didn't. I'm sorry. And so if people don't work through that, and say like they didn't work through that in their marriage of what, 20 years or whatever, they jump back in, they're still in square one. You know, you have to open your eyes. That's why I really highly recommend, before you jump into, you know, new relationships, you know, get a baseline on where your emotional development is in regard to relationships.
Well, and that's when we run into problems because, like I was saying last week, my humanality scale,
Oh yeah.
I will say this right out loud. When I was involved with the person that I was involved with, like I told you, I have two in my life that I still have love for, right?
Yeah.
And the one was the distance relationship
Hmm.
that he he said, I can't do this. This doesn't work for me. I can't do this,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And this was somebody who told me that he loved me, right? Like, and that he, and I'm not misquoting because I remember everything, loved you from our first date. Like, one time he was like, I haven't felt this way in so long. But here's my thing. It was distance. And he said, I can't do this. This doesn't work for me.
Okay.
And I said to him, so you're going to swap me out for someone in your area code?
Mm,
I mean, that's essentially what he did.
yeah.
So it's like people, not everybody, some might sacrifice real feeling for convenience. I couldn't be there every day. I mean, I had kids here, they were younger then. Now I could be there all the time because my
Mhm.
kids are older.
So you mean because he wasn't,
He did
I don't
not
know,
want a
was it too
distance.
painful or too inconvenient for him?
Couldn't even tell you. I couldn't
Okay.
even tell you. Like I remember one of the comments he made was like, I do love you. I really do love you. But I can't do a part-time relationship. And he's like, what if we wanted to go out on a random Tuesday night? We can't. You're not here. I'm like, that's what you're fucking basing your decision on?
Mm,
Going out on a random Tuesday night? I mean, I just had this conversation with a friend of mine this morning. She's like, women and men are so fundamentally different, right?
mhm,
Like a woman would fight for that.
mhm.
I'm not saying all men, I'm not saying all women. A woman would fight for that. And a man's like, well, this is too much effort, and I don't want to, I want someone right for me.
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't even put that on gender, to be honest with you, because I've seen both
You're
sides of it.
probably right. You're
Yeah,
probably right.
that's do you want to do the work or do you not? And look,
I don't
it's
think
and
people,
also being aware of the fact that this is right now, this is not forever. This circumstance is what it is right now. Um, and understanding that, life grows and changes whether you wanted to or not, and your kids grow up and that changes, and there's huge, major milestones in life that change the trajectory of where you're going in a relationship.
and but honestly, if that's, and this is something I think, okay, people coming out of abusive relationships, we've talked about this. That's something that someone would struggle with because they would hear the words of, it's the distance, I can't do the distance, it doesn't work for me. But how they're going to interpret the words are, you're not good enough,
Yeah.
right? You're not good enough. I'm going to find somebody else who's better.
Hmm.
And that's not how I interpreted it.
Hmm.
Um, to me, it was incredibly short-sighted. But a person who is traumatized, and we've talked about this in previous episodes about like, navigating relationships post abuse, right? Putting yourself back out there. And you got to be really careful where you're at, right? Like
Hmm.
if you cannot look at someone's decision that they're making in regard to you ending a relationship as something that they're deciding to do, and it really doesn't have anything to do with you,
Hmm.
if you can't receive that like that, and you're going to put it on you as being unworthy, not valuable, not good enough.
Yeah.
And like I've said then don't even get
Don't
involved
even
yet
scratch that
because
surface. Yeah.
you're just going to compound damage, and it's going to take you that much longer to get over it. So
Mhm.
like that's why I think people are so interesting. Like when we talk about, like 20 somethings being like, just making a decision to be asexual, making a decision to be what you could call dating sober. We won't say boy sober, dating sober, sex sober. Okay, sex sober. Um, it's because I think a lot of people are like some of them are like, I can't really handle this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't really want to handle this.
Yep.
There's so many other things going on in the world and in my life and work and what I don't want to deal with disappointment. I don't want to deal with rejection. I don't want to deal with, thinking something is one thing and it's not, misreading signs and, misreading whatever. And so I think people are taking a pause because they're like, you know what, man, it's a hard.
I think even if we go bigger, right? I
Right.
mean, this concept that you come into this world, you grow up, you get married, you have kids, you grow old together and die. That's not everybody's journey. You do not have to be in a relationship, and it shouldn't be the constant quest of your whole life. I know plenty of people who have a massive, friend group that meet all their needs, and maybe the sex need and the physical need. I have friends that do, hook up with people. Sometimes they just have somebody, a friend that's like that's just what we do, friends with benefits, because we're at that place and it's comfortable and we can have a good time. Or people that don't, that just take care of business, Jane Fonda on her own. There's certainly plenty of stuff out there to make
Absolutely.
that a good time. Um, but I think this concept that I certainly don't preach it to my kids. You don't need to get up, grow up, find a spouse and get married. You don't. If you want to, yes, but you don't have to. And I
You
think
don't have to.
we have
No.
preached that for so many generations, that that's what you do, where I just see people seeking it and seeking it and seeking it. You don't have to be lonely, even if you don't have a partner. That doesn't mean that you're lonely. That it
Just
doesn't have to
because
be.
you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely.
No.
And, I've also seen, okay, I've seen people who, like my therapist says to me, right? Because she's around my age, and she was like, we were sold the Cinderella story. right?
Hmm.
We were
Yeah.
sold that,
Yeah.
that you are going to find Prince Charming and it's going to complete you and it's going to be forever and it's going to be wonderful and it's going
Which
to be
also insinuates there's something missing inside you, which is a dangerous thing to teach. Yeah.
But what I have seen too in my lifetime is people who have focused on career, male or female, and then all of a sudden in their 30s go, holy shit, I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have kids. Oh my God, I got to get this going. Like, I've got to do this. And then they end up marrying someone that they shouldn't marry.
No.
And then they have kids with the person. And then 10 years in, they're like, shit, whoa, wait, we don't relate to each other. We have no intimacy. We've got these kids that are now like, 8
Hmm.
or 6 that we have to, well, now we got to stay together because we got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. Like now and we got the house and we've got
We
and we've
did the
got,
things. Yeah.
we've got family and in-laws and, common friends and it's, I'm not going to say it's a trap. That's not what I'm saying because it's not, but they're doing it for the wrong
For the
reasons.
wrong reasons. Yeah. And, I always harass my wife. I always harass Liz all the time because she hates living with people. I know she does. She likes things done the way she likes them done. She rolls her eyes when we come in and do something she doesn't like. And I'm always saying, well, you got us. I don't know what to tell you,
Other
but
people involved.
but she's also that one that as, when Emma, our daughter left, and then she's like, well, where is everybody?
Oh, now you want the people.
Now you're at,
Now you want the people.
but there
Okay.
is there is challenges to living with, and people don't talk about that a lot when it comes to living with families. There are challenges to living with people, and there's nothing wrong with preferring to live by yourself. I know lots of couples who don't live together because they just can't do it,
They don't share bedrooms,
they don't, because
you
of
know?
whatever, you snore or you whatever.
Well, okay, so like my sister and I have talked about this, and when I say this to people, they're like, "Okay, Ellen, yeah, right, yeah, right." I say like, which kind of pisses me off because I'm fucking telling the truth. I don't want to be married again.
Yeah.
I don't want to be married again. And you know what? To be completely honest, because I've given this a ton of thought, it's not that I don't want to commit to somebody. It's not that I can't commit to somebody or be a loving, supporting, committed partner.
Right.
I don't think I wanted to be married the first time, Katie.
Mm,
And, that's an unpopular opinion. I don't 100% believe in it. I believe in commitment.
sure.
And I think you can commit to somebody and not be legally and financially bound to them.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Marriage is a contract. It's a legal contract, you
It's
know.
also slightly outdated. And that's
It is
going to
pretty
sound
outdated. Yeah. To be honest with you, I mean, so Liz and I have been together 20 years, but
not that I'm disparaging marriage. I'm sure
no, no,
yours is
no, but
wonderful.
let me tell you this. This is a good example, but we weren't able to get married until 2011 in New York State, right? Um, but because we already felt married, it had nothing to do with, the contract or whatever. We were like, oh, well, do we want to? Well, here's a very good reason when it comes to contracts, right? So I might have said this before, but at the time, Em had Liz's ex, who's passed away since. She
Oh,
was
I didn't
Em's
know.
other legal parent.
Okay.
And so she passed in 2019. But that being said, as a person in Emma's life, I had no rights to her. And I was a very active parent in her life, but I wasn't married to Liz, so I didn't have step parent rights. I didn't have anything, and I couldn't get anything. And I was the one often taking her to doctor's appointments or things like that. And it was just like, and I was resentful. I was like,
Okay.
I was okay with it. She's my kid as far as I've been raising her since she was a little bitty, but um, and that baby girl, having three mamas basically. She ended up calling me Smoof because she just, so that's what my license plates say, Smoof, because that's what she used to call me, and
I
but
love the word smooth.
yeah, she just made it up. I'm Smoof. Um,
Oh,
so when we got married, that gave me rights to M right away. And it
okay.
also gave
Okay.
Liz rights to Jack right away. She had no rights to Jack. She had
I can
no,
understand that.
yeah. But there you go. There's an example of a contract where do I think we'd have gotten married? I don't know, actually, because the taxes were screwed now. We did better when we weren't married. You know, there are other things, life and death things, if something were to have happened to her, I need to be able to access everything right away, things like that, where unless I was all listed on proper paperwork. Anyway, good reasons to get married. Some of
Those
the,
are good reasons.
those are practical
But you,
reasons.
but those practical reasons that you're talking about, people assigned only to married people.
You got it. Yep.
Why does it have to be that way?
Well, there's that too. Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So
Yeah.
why is marriage the only relationship that provides these so-called benefits?
That you
I
get,
find
yeah.
that to be kind of, and you know why? I'll tell you why. Because marriage in its invention
Hmm.
was to unite families and unite
Oh
land.
yeah. To unite
It
land, to
wasn't for
unite,
love.
no, no,
It
no.
wasn't for love. It
Mm-mm.
was for, we're taking our daughter and
Yep.
we're marrying her to you because our
Yeah.
properties are adjacent to each other. And now we're going to have one whole big property.
Yeah.
And then you guys will have kids and that'll pass down. And that
Yep.
will ensure for our family that we always have this property.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hmm.
It's like dowry. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go too far into this, but dowry.
Yeah.
Here's my daughter, marry your son. We're basically going heterosexual back then, right?
Yep. For sure.
Here's my daughter, marry your son, and now I want 20 goats and your prize bull.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It was commerce.
Absolutely.
It was commerce. It was only years and years and years and years later when people started saying, well, no, I want to marry someone I love.
That's why it makes
Or
me laugh, like in other cultures where they still do arranged marriages and people are so angry. I'm like, yeah, that's what it's always been, guys. I don't want to tell you.
yeah, and well, I can't tell you the first person who said, no, I'm not going to marry him. I want to marry for love. Like, I don't know who that was. Probably didn't go over that well, but like, and then it turned into, well, now I'm going to marry the person I love. I'm not going to go too far down this
Yeah,
rabbit hole.
yeah.
But why
It
did it
makes
have to
me
be
think of other
married?
things like, that coffee that lemurs poop out and it's supposed to be real good. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I want to know what you're
I'm
talking
just
about.
thinking about things people did for the first time that were super weird that like
Lemurs shit
milk.
coffee?
Yeah, lemurs eat these coffee beans and then poop them out. And then I guess those coffee beans are fantastic once they've moved through a lemur colon. But I mean, who discovered that? Who went, oh yeah, these are the coffee beans I need. Why not take them off the bush? Why did you take them out of a lemur butt?
I don't want to know that story, frankly.
But
I
it's
really
like,
don't.
who's the first of everything? I don't know. You don't know those things.
I think about those things sometimes, like, and then I'm like, I
I was
don't,
like, I mean, really? You said goat, and it made me think of, so you saw a baby goat nurse, and then you thought you should drink that?
sometimes I think about who were the first people the French kissed? Who was the person that thought like to
Yeah,
stick a tongue in someone's mouth?
yeah. Maybe it was
Who
an
was
accident.
definitely a fucking guy. I can tell you that much. Yeah. So okay, so the lemur thing I'm gonna think about
You
all
gotta
day.
look it up. It's
So
like super expensive coffee. Yeah, it is.
are these lemurs like treated like royalty? Are they like kept in like are they
I
like
haven't, speaking of not
bred
going
for
down, I
this?
haven't gone down that lemur hole that much. I don't know. I said lemur. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, back to
All right. Anyway, yes.
sex. Back to
Yeah.
oh,
Who
back to
knows who
sex.
said for the first time I want to marry for love? God bless him, her, whoever. Yeah.
God bless them. I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Okay. I don't. And just so y'all know, I've actually said this to my mother. So if I've said it to my mother, I can say it anywhere.
Okay.
I just feel like it's not for me. That does not mean that I cannot be fully committed to someone.
No, they're
But
two
then
totally
you
different things. I mean, again,
they
I'm gonna
they
go
are,
back to
they
gay
are.
relationships. We couldn't get married, didn't mean we weren't committed, you know?
If anything, because you were able to finally get married, you value it more
Oh,
than
yeah,
people who've been doing it
I would think so. I mean,
willy-nilly for, the
they're
last
just like
fucking
going to
500
Vegas
years.
and getting married, yeah. But and I
You value it more.
it also was notable when people, couples who had been together for a very long time could get married and they didn't. And everybody had a different story. It was kind of eye-opening that it became very clear that some people didn't want their partners to have access to what they own. That was very clear.
Well, and it's not so much that people don't get married because they want to keep an escape route. Okay. That's not necessarily why people do. It's just that some people don't need it.
Yeah.
And at this point in time in my life, no, I would never get married again.
Hmm. That's not an
Um,
unpopular opinion. It's not.
I would never commingle funds.
Hmm.
I would never buy a property with someone.
Hmm.
I wouldn't.
Hmm.
And don't take this as a challenge, anybody out there, because no, I really won't do it. Really will not. My children are my beneficiaries on everything.
Hmm.
That will never change,
Hmm.
ever.
Hmm.
Um, can I do, would I like to meet somebody that I 100% loved and was head over heels with? Yes. Would that person be staying here every night? No.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And not because you get to the point you like your space.
Hmm. It's true.
And they should like their space. Like, I
Hmm.
would completely appreciate someone that I got involved with who was like, no, I want to spend the night at my house tonight. I got like stuff to do. I'd be like, absolutely. And then you go home and we'll sext each other until we fall asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be this all consuming
Doesn't.
24/7.
It
If
doesn't.
anything, 24/7, familiarity breeds contempt. Like,
Hmm.
bring your best to each other, bring your best times to each other,
Hmm.
and also support each other in your worst. But you don't have to be like connected at the hip. Like, I don't find that to be healthy either.
No, no. No.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
And
there's so many different, I mean, we learn so much in relationships, and it really is in relationships that we are challenged and grow. But they don't necessarily have to be, I mean, our romantic relationships, because we have a tendency to be the most vulnerable in those, that is the keen reason why we learn and grow so dramatically in those relationships, because we make ourselves the most vulnerable there. But if you were to choose to make yourself vulnerable in other areas, you can learn just as much as well.
I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Sexuality at our age.
Hmm.
Okay. Like the Jane Fonda comment.
Yeah.
She's 80 plus
Yeah.
and she's making a comment like that, which should get everybody hope. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Sexuality at our age. Do you have anybody that you speak to or that comes to you and talks about the speed at which our age group gets involved sexually?
It's interesting. It's all over the board. I find that the men are less likely. So here's the thing, right? So a lot of times women will get involved. I'm finding that women will move into it a lot faster than maybe they might have been in the past. Um, and that's a lot of with when I'm working with men that are dating, they're like, wow, they wanted to get right into it. And my perception of that is because they think that's what they need to do to get them hooked. But that's my perception.
Can I say one thing before you continue?
Hmm.
Could it also be that women feel a little bit more empowered now and they
Well,
enjoy
that was going to be
sex?
the next thing. Yeah. I think
Okay. All
that
right.
with the internet age and everything, and um I mean the options are so much more, there's so much more available now, and I do think women feel more empowered. And I think it's taken too long for women to be recognized as sexual beings, and sometimes they don't actually absorb that until they're in their 40s. Um, so if they are leaving a relationship where that was not necessarily something they could explore or accepted, then I think, yeah, there's some of that too. Um,
Well, I mean, like it's silly. We were raised like socially, we were raised in a certain way, which is like the boys are the sexual beings,
right.
if a girl was sexual, she was a slut.
Slut. Mm-hmm.
And anybody who's my age right now who's male and listening to this and goes, that's not true. Yes, it fucking
It
is.
was. Yeah.
Yes, it fucking is. I can
Yeah.
take myself back to conversations in high school hallways
Oh, yeah.
when people found out that someone had sex with someone and
Yeah.
and God forbid she had sex with more than one person in the
Oh, yeah.
term of a year. Then
Yeah.
she was just a raging whore. I might as well
Mm-hmm.
sell it on the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
Women aren't putting up with that anymore. And I also would like for women too, and you see this sometimes, I would like for women to stop slut shaming each other. That
That would be
happens.
nice. Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
Um, how we can take such a natural, biological, emotional process and shame someone
Yep.
and rip their character apart is
Yep.
beyond me.
Yep.
It is beyond me. And to only do it to half the population
Yeah. And then celebrate the other half.
and then
Yeah.
celebrate the other half. And I have a funny story. When I was getting divorced, or when I was divorced, and I went to see my gynecologist, and he'd been my gynecologist for, well, since my kids were born. So at this point in time, we're talking like, and before my kids were born, like 20 years, right?
Okay.
And clearly every conversation you have with your gynecologist is in a al fresco scenario. So it's not like you have to, it's all based on like propriety. I mean, like, come on.
Right.
And
Right.
so I said to him, like, every conversation we've ever had, I've been naked from the waist down. And he was like, yeah, that's the way it goes. So like he said to me after I got divorced, he was like, I want to tell you something, as a woman who's in her mid 40s and me who's been practicing for 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, Ellen, sex is empowering. It's empowering for women. He was like, and I want you to enjoy it, enjoy this period in your life. He's like, be careful and guard
Mm-hmm.
your heart.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, but sex is empowering for women. He was like, it not only does it make you feel good, he's like, it makes you feel, like it's like your womanhood, right? And it's like empowering your womanhood. And he was like, and I
Mm-hmm.
fully encourage you to go and explore like your sexuality and your
Yeah.
womanhood.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, Dr. Weissman, like, where's this coming
I know.
from? Everything
Every woman's
okay at
gonna want
home?
his card at this point. Yeah.
He was like, no, I really feel that. He's like, I really feel that. And he's like, and I know what you went through and you've talked to me about it. And he was like, and you need to empower yourself. And one of the ways that women can empower themselves, I'm not saying that they go out and they sleep with every guy that they come across, be selective,
Mm-hmm.
but enjoy your sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the greatest things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, now that I have a doctor's note to go out.
Oh my God, can you imagine that? Like, in case
My
you were
doctor
wondering,
says,
you'd be like,
but I mean, I thought
apparently I'm
that was
supposed to
such
empower myself. So
so high. No, but I thought that was so interesting that he like took the time
yeah,
to say that
yeah,
because he knew I had kids. He knew I was divorced. He knew the situation. And he was like, you need to do this for yourself. You should do it for yourself.
yeah,
He's like, and have no shame. No shame. And I was like, where are all these people? Like, I think
yeah,
Dr. Weissman should go and have his own podcast. I
yeah.
mean, like, he was right. And he meant it from like a health perspective as well,
Mm-hmm.
like a mental health perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I thought that was interesting. And I'm not out here preaching to people to walk out your door right now and go find a
No, you're
stranger on
not
the
saying go
street.
be promiscuous and
That's not
but
what I'm
let's
saying.
go. I mean, let's again, anything. It's just identify what your intent is when you're seeking out sexual partners. Identify what the motivation is. If you are frantically empty and you are just moving through
Frantically,
sexual partners left and right, that's bad.
that you have to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need
If
to shut
you
that down. Like
Yeah.
that you gotta look at. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about look at your motivation behind any of your behavior, your sexual behavior, your emotional, whatever the behavior is. find the motivation and see if it's a healthy motivator or an unhealthy motivator, and that'll kind of keep it in check.
You know, it's funny. I said to my therapist, Rachel, the one week, I said, Rachel, it was a perfect world. I'm like, do you know what I want? And she was like, what's that? I said, every aspect of my life is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I love my kids. They're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I love my house. I love my job. I love my family. I love my friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? I love the opportunities that are in front of me. And I love the change that's about to come in my life that I brought about
Mm-hmm.
through hard work and decisions I have made along the way. I'm very excited for my future. I said, but if I could script my life or a little portion of my life, I'm like, I want a sexual partner.
Mm-hmm.
I want like banter and good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want a boyfriend,
Yeah.
but I want this person to, I mean, like, it's not like I want this person to be sleeping with other people, right? But like a casual yet kind of good conversation, laughter, like respect each other and each
Yeah,
other's life and
chemistry
all.
and all that. Yeah, but you want a monogamous sexual partner where that's what it's about. It's not about partnership. It's not about. It's just about yeah.
But it is about enjoying each other, and it is about conversation, and it is about.
Yeah.
And I thought she was going to be like, oh well, and she was like, I wasn't. She was, I 100% agree with you. She's like, but I'm writing a recipe that I don't know if it exists. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
Like
well, let me ask you this. So you
oh, this should
find
be good.
that, right? There's banter, there's chemistry, the sex is great, you laugh. Um, isn't
Gotta
that
laugh. If he's not funny, forget it. Fuck it. If
okay?
he's not
So,
funny, no
but
way.
then how does that not lead into something more? If you like him, he's funny, you enjoy each other physically. How did, because a lot of people then it's like, then the feelings get involved. I mean, what do you do then?
I don't know because like that's why like I don't know if this is even possible because I'd have to like the person.
You have to be attracted to them. Yeah.
So it's like, am I writing a recipe for disaster or success right here?
Good point. Yeah. Well, back in the olden times, that's what they had. And I'm not talking when we were kids. I'm talking the Middle Ages. That's what they had, you know. They had a wife or a husband and all that.
Mhm.
And you can all those, handmaid all those not handmaids, sorry. Um the what are they called? Well, the women that would take care of the other women, they would like dress them.
Ladies in waiting.
Yeah, the ladies in waiting were getting it on all the time. There's
Absolutely.
tons of
They had
books
the
on
best
that.
life.
Yeah, yeah, and and then the we know the kings, they'd had their sexual partner. So it was pretty standard that you had the marriage and that was whatever, but the sexual stuff was super separate. You had sex with your queen to bear a prince or,
Of
but
course. And
yeah.
then sometimes your queen was off having her own fun
Oh yeah.
with somebody else. I
Yeah.
mean, if anybody thinks as long as there has been sex, it's been a
Mm-hmm.
long, long time, or else none of
Mm-hmm.
us would fucking be here.
Yeah,
As
right.
long as there has been sex,
Yeah.
there has been, if you want to call it this, infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
There has been cheating. There has been trysts. There has been, and maybe a lot of people don't like to hear that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true because we're human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
And yeah.
it's just true. And honestly, I think we should do an entire episode on cheating because it is that topic. Ooh, that topic that's a flashpoint
Mm.
because it is, you know, I'm not going to say it's so prevalent, but it's so fucking prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was talking to somebody once, a friend of mine, personal situation, whatever. Not anybody that lives around me, totally somebody else. In case any of
Mm-hmm.
my neighbors are watching this, not you, somebody
Mm-hmm.
else. And they were like, why? Like, why do people cheat?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, because they want to.
Mhm,
It's the same reason that people do anything.
mhm,
Because a lot of times it's because they want to.
mhm,
It's the same reason why people don't do things. It's because they don't want to.
mhm. Yeah, we should talk
So
about that. There's some
I do think,
physiological components, and this is not justifying it,
oh,
that happen
we're
in
not
men.
condoning people. Oh God, we're not
No,
condoning that, Jessica.
no, and that's why in some ways, you know, gay men serve each other very, very well because, I'll leave on this is a funny note. So Liz and I years ago were at a bar in Toronto around Pride time, right? We hadn't been there.
Huh.
And we were just looking for gay bars to hang out, which there's like no gay bars anymore. Which is
You
probably
said
good
that.
because the
You said
majority,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure, but then again, I was just at the Indigo Girls and Melissa Etheridge concert, and all the lesbians my age are alcoholics because they all grew up in bars. So I'm like, oh,
Oh my God.
that didn't
You
went
made a
away.
comment once on Facebook. This was years ago, but for some reason it's stuck in my head. And then we'll
Yeah,
move on. But Melissa Etheridge. And you were like, come on, man. Every lesbian's covered. Come to my window.
that's true.
You know, I remember this.
It's true. You had to
I was
do it.
like, great tune, but that was fucking hilarious. Okay, so go
Yeah.
ahead. So you're in Toronto looking for a gay bar. You
Anyway,
can't find one.
so oh yeah, and then so we were at this bar, and it was like all of a sudden it was about 10 o'clock, and we were waiting because we wanted to go to this drag show, and it wasn't starting yet. I am not kidding you.
What, like 2 in the morning?
The lights went down. No, it was like 10 o'clock like this, okay? And we were like, whoa, okay. The televisions all of a sudden became like raunchy gay porn, like went from regular TV to that. I'm like, this like techno music came on, right? And Liz and I were like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, this entourage of beautiful young men in leather and everything. I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to be here. And we were not frowned upon, but all of a sudden, these guys in twos would just disappear into bathrooms and stuff. I'm like, this is okay. All right. Like you could feel the sexual tension in the air. We're like, we really need to. And
Wow.
it was instant, 10 o'clock, whatever those nights were, if it was weekly or because it was a special event because of Pride, they came in, they were dressed to get busy, and God knows how many of them they were going to get busy with who, but it was time.
There's a term that I remember from a course that I took in college that was about, well, the course was called AIDS and STDs because it was like 1992.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like the culture in San Francisco. And the term I remember was glory hole.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
How there was the wall
Yep.
and there was the glory hole.
Yeah. Glory
And
hole
like,
clubs and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And they create, and I don't want to generalize, but
right,
my
of course,
information comes from my gay male friends and um in the past. So I don't know what the dynamic is now. I suspect it's still there. But the
hey,
point
listen,
being,
my gay male friends were like, I remember we were out to dinner one time and they said Eiffel Tower, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, like in Paris, and they drew me a fucking picture on a napkin. I was like, oh, that's an Eiffel Tower. I was like, well done, guys. That's actually a good depiction. Thank you
that's
very
really
much.
great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Mother of
Um,
three right here. Didn't know that one.
yeah,
I
but I
mean,
mean that very anonymous, I just got to get my rocks off. Let's go do this. And next and next and next. There is, especially at that age in men, you are driven. And if you look at it biologically, it's because look, you're a dude, you have a ton of seed. Your job is to spread it to keep your lineage going.
and then you are your chosen is another man who is equally high sex
Yeah.
drive in general.
Yep.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it must
Yeah.
be volcanic,
Yeah.
like in the beginning, like when they get, I mean, it must be volcanic,
Yeah. But it's
right?
not sustainable. That's the problem, that level of sexual the infidelity in gay male relationships, I'm going to say younger gay male
Okay.
relationships is very
Okay.
high. And it not surprising. They are very invested in their virility And then when that starts to kind of change, hopefully you do have, often it's, older lesbian friends or that are meeting those other needs, for comfort and love. And, or if you've been
Right.
lucky, you found a partner that you rode that wave with and,
I
where
can see
women
that
are,
though.
yeah, I mean, women were
See
more wired to nest. And, once the womb is full, you know, that we are not looking to dish out eggs, man. That's not what, that's
that.
not,
Dishing out eggs.
we only came with a handful, we
The
don't have,
eggs are dished, my
yeah,
friends. The
yeah,
eggs are
exactly.
dished. They are
Yeah.
all out
Anyway,
there.
yeah, to talk about infidelity and what that looks like and the concept of monogamy and what that means. And I think that we are
And
in a
what that
place
means to
here.
different people, right? I
Yeah, and it
mean,
shouldn't have one meaning. And this idea that
nope.
the only right way to have um a partnership is to have a monogamous partnership, and that's not right either. I mean, if it's right for you, it's right for you. There are plenty of people I see, that don't have that and they're fine with it. The relationship is very secure, but they have that understanding between the two of them, so there's, I mean,
Well, like we talked about boundaries and
yeah,
guidelines and those types of relationships. And like you said, the intent. What's the intent?
yeah. And
Is
if you're
it
just going to have a good
to
time,
strengthen your
it's a
relationship, or is it because you want to get laid by somebody else? Because
right,
if you just want to get laid by
exactly.
somebody else, this isn't going to go so well,
Yeah.
right? This isn't going
Yeah,
to go so well.
if you're trying to go get something taken care of, and that's not even right either. I should reframe that.
Some people want,
If you are having a conversation with your significant other and they cannot meet your sexual need, they can't. Maybe they have some trauma attached to that, whatever. Or maybe they have a
maybe they
handicap.
don't like it.
They don't like
Maybe
it. They
they don't
just
like how
like,
you've
I'm just not
evolved.
doing that. Now, if you have a conversation, now, because I want to preface this with, if you're going somewhere else to get your needs met, if there's a conversation where you decide, okay, I want you to get that need met, but let's go find somebody together that can make that happen or whatever, but if you're going off and you're engaging and you are keeping this big dark secret from your
Mhm.
partner about the need not be, you know what I'm saying? Then it's troublesome. Then it's troublesome.
Well, it is
Got to
troublesome.
be open. You don't, whatever, can think of 1,000 things that I won't say, but you don't do blah, blah, blah. And I really want that. And I am unfulfilled. But I don't want to be with anyone. I don't want to leave you. I don't, So I think those conversations are important and they're hard. They're very difficult. I'm not saying, and I've had those conversations with clients, talked about it. Um,
Like I said, people cheat because they want to.
yeah, yeah, because something is,
Missing.
yeah. Well, we didn't talk that much about sex, but we talked about a lot of things.
We should do sex part 3.
Okay.
Sex menage a trois.
Oh, hey, yeah, that's good. And
See what I
again,
did there?
we did tap on that too. Did you know
We should tap on that. We
we
should.
talked about intention again, and more people than not. Why's my phone ringing? Not as uncommon as people think,
I was just
especially
going to say
now.
you'd be surprised how many people have tried
Brought other,
additional partners or even
absolutely.
foursomes.
Oh yeah,
Or
it's
even
really not.
foursomes.
I don't know why people don't talk about it. It's still considered pretty taboo, but um,
Who
people
even
are
came
doing
up
it.
with taboo? Who's the one that wrote the taboo rules? I want to know.
Yeah, that's a good point
I'll
too.
tell you.
Maybe we need to remove the,
Church. And
that's,
I
but things that, that's a good conversation too. We should talk about why are certain things taboo? Now are certain things, well, I gotta go make dinner. It's that time. But we should
well
talk about
now we're gonna do sex part 3. And it's
that.
gonna be
Okay.
hardcore shit.
Okay.
I say we go taboo road.
Okay. And what truly earns the word taboo? And I might even go digging into the Webster's dictionary for dictionary.
We are on today, Katie. No, but
Um,
I think that'd be interesting. Because don't you think that's kind of subjective?
it's completely subjective, and I think that you brought up the church thing. That's a big part. Um, and if you go back, into the Victorian times and all of that, boy, they were doing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, don't think that
Bible,
they were not freaky back then.
And the Bible existed then,
guarantee-
right? I mean, the Bible existed then, and okay, let's talk about that. Sex 3.
As long as there's been people, there's been sex.
That's true.
And there's
All
some
right.
creative people out there. All right, so
Yeah.
sex part 3.
All right, sex part 3 next week.
Sex part 3. Stay tuned, folks.
Bye.
Bye.